Kia ora.
Can you introduce yourselves?
This is Ngira, and I'm Ellen. Ngira is the missioner of Hemi Tapu,
Waikato.
Yeah.
missioner of Waikato. Okay, you're going to have to start this again. Kia ora. My name's Ellen Bernstein, and I'm the vicar of St Stephen's Taumahere, just up the road from where we are at St Peter's School, Cambridge.
Kia ora, I'm Ngira, the Māori missioner of Waikato, based at Hemi Tapu in Dinsdale. We took a look at the journey to Emmaus and broke it down into 6 sections, at each point reflecting on what's the point that we might have missed, what's the point that the disciples might have missed, what can we learn from this story, this piece of scripture, anew, afresh, what's something that maybe we haven't noticed before. And I think most importantly, in this story, how does Jesus show the way that we might follow as a church?
A real highlight was the suggestion that we could move as a community of worship from remembering Christ in the upper room, celebrating the Last Supper, to also remembering Christ with us, a post-resurrection Christ breaking bread with us as fellow travellers, as pilgrims on the road.
I was trying to encourage people to interact with the hashtag for the Hui, hashtag Theological Hui 15, ask questions on that forum rather than put your hand up and ask me. Took a while to get it going, but right at the end, towards the end of the presentation, the questions started coming in, and I think the best part of it was that the delegates at the Hui started interacting among themselves on Twitter, which is where I was hoping the conversation would go, and it went there.
I think it might continue. I think people are going to be thoughtful about it for the rest of the Hui, and in their own downtime they'll start to interact more.
Looking at this story again and coming at the Emmaus story with fresh eyes, we noticed in preparation the idea that if we restrict our view of Holy Communion and our Sunday morning worship to being based solely on the upper room, then we live in a pre-resurrection church, and that limits us in some ways. What we were suggesting, and I got super excited by this, was that we go beyond that, come out of the upper room and base our Sunday morning worship on the breaking of bread that happens in this story. Because as a church we exist, we live, we mission, we disciple in a post-resurrection world. We've become more drawn into the safety of the upper room. There's also a danger in going completely to the other spectrum and relying solely on post-resurrection church. But either ends of the spectrum have dangers, and I think we're sitting too far towards the pre-resurrection safety of the upper room. Jesus is with us. And if you think more deeply about the commandment, do this to remember me, what is this? Is the this staying in the upper room? The act of remembering can still be done. We can still remember all the things, the thises of Jesus that we're instructed to do in a post-resurrection church. But a post-resurrection church adds the third dimension, which is what we talked about in our presentation, the third dimension to Jesus, to the church, in that we know that the story, we know that what Jesus tells us to be true.
I think that it's possible Luke included this story because he was writing for a Eucharistic community, and he wanted that early Christian community to reimagine the Eucharist not as the Last Supper but as a post-resurrection meal for precisely that reason. That's just possibly why Luke, alone of all the Gospels, includes that story for us. Yes, I was interested that Christians moved out of the story and what might have been going on in the text to what does this mean for our life and community, what does this mean for our Christian witness, and maybe some things that it might mean that we've never even imagined yet.
I think the journey to Emmaus, the story that we spent this morning talking about, offers a wonderful example of a way that the church can live in community, journeying, meeting strangers on the road, welcoming, joining with them, learning something from strangers. These 2 disciples learnt a lot from the stranger that was among them, the stranger that they didn't recognise. All the things in the church that we don't recognise, we can learn something from them. And as we include them and journey together to the moment of breaking bread, we, along with the stranger, are revealed and are completed as we all recognise that moment. So I think the story offers a wonderful guide for the church in the way that we can live together in a post-resurrection world.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome. Any further questions, direct them to my media officer.
You'll answer the phone?